Do you know how they say limit your color palette? I think I pushed that advice too far. How about just one color? Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Marta, and what you've just clicked on, hopefully even on purpose, is the second video in my series, where I'm documenting my creative journey, teaching myself how to paint. If you're interested in details, you can go watch the first one, where I have shared some of my drawing background and structured my DIY painting class into 6 modules. Because all we're going to focus on in this video is the first module I have assigned for myself, which is value. Or simply put, using just one single color in hopes of improving, or in my mature case, even obtaining, a painting skill. I decided to start with it for 2 reasons. First, because it actually is so fundamental that I know for sure in many art programs and art schools, you actually start painting using only black and white, and you have to stick to it for a while before you get upgraded to using colors. And secondly, because my comfort zone is drawing, and value painting seemed like the most logical common ground between drawing and painting, because drawing itself is a kind of an endless exercise in contrasting values. I even heard one of my professors saying once that if you can paint good, that doesn't necessarily mean you can draw good, but if you can draw good, most definitely you can paint. Because once you get your proportions and your values right, you're basically succeeded for like 70%. And although the proper way to learn that is using only black and white, I'm also going to use some neutral colors like burnt umber. To kick things off, I'm doing a series of small studies, basic shapes and a few still lifes. The goal for today is to try to focus on light and shadow and get my first brush strokes laid down, which honestly feels like the scariest part. I mean, I have held a brush many times before, but I guess all of that was more like coloring in the drawings I've made, not necessarily painting artistically, if you know what I mean. After briefly sketching the first composition, I went straight in with the paint. Honestly, I don't know if there is an exact formula to painting with acrylics, so I'm trying to treat everything I do here as an experiment. For the first piece, I tried to start with the darkest spots and go gradually towards the lightest parts. To be completely honest, I don't know why, but it feels so vulnerable sharing your first tries at something. Like, I know that everyone who ever learned how to do anything knows that feeling of excitement mixed with a bit of awkwardness, of not knowing what you're doing and whether you're doing it right. Guess I'm just not used to seeing that type of content often, because there are so many amazing artists out there sharing their process and their art, but you can clearly see the years of experience behind them that you can only watch and admire. So I guess this video is also a reminder for myself that any skill is taught from zero, and there is nothing shameful about choosing to share that part of the journey as well, that awkward, long learning curve that everyone once been through. Speaking of learning curves, I think it reads pretty clearly that I'm more used to the pencil rather than brush, because the first painting turned out very stiff. Probably I was still a bit afraid of that flowy brush strokes and desperately tried to control the paint too much, which only made it look and feel constrained. Maybe sticking to one color was not enough for me, so to fix that, I'm starting the next piece with committing to only one slightly bigger brush. Keeping the dark to light approach, I proceed with the second painting. Even though it desperately lacks clear contrast and looks a bit muddy over here, I think taking a bigger brush was immensely helpful. You can see that compared to the first one, the painting looks way more expressive and loose, which ideally is what I'm going for. But there is a new problem. Seems like I'm way too slow with it. I mean, these are tiny pieces and I've been spending at least an hour and a half on each. At this rate, it will take me forever to complete at least 10 of them. And also, I was concerned whether I'm actually doing a disservice to the painting by carefully spending so much time on it, when the result I wanted to achieve was loose and somewhat confident sketching. Which brings us to the next experiment of setting a 30-minute timer for one painting. Hopefully, it will push me to finish faster and not overwork things. Well, unfortunately, I have to admit the timer did not help at all. And as a matter of fact, I feel like it made me rush and panic, which only made the piece worse. This was a bit of a low point because after the next couple paintings and more experimentation, no change came. And after some frustrated tutorial watching break, I still felt like I'm lacking guidance and I can't quite catch what is wrong with my paintings. I guess this is the hardest part of being self-taught in anything. Sometimes you just need a professional by your side who can point out exactly what you are missing. And when you are a student and a teacher in one, you can only learn from your own mistakes. But in my need for guidance, I thought of at least some solution, and asked Chat to help out and critique my work as an art teacher would have. And honestly, it worked surprisingly well. The main thing the Chat highlighted to me was the edge control. So far I was trying to keep the shape of each object clean and sharp, when actually it would be much better to lose some edges, especially in the shadow parts. Also, the advice was to push shadows bolder and darker and focus more on plain shapes of light and dark. But most importantly, it just gave me some confidence to push through that awkward stage where I don't have a clue what is going on. So the next couple of paintings went by pretty smoothly and actually turned out way better. Here's what I had in the end. 8 paintings, all in boring black and white and burnt umber. The question is, was it worth it? And did committing to one color help me learn how to paint? Of course, none of these paintings are perfect, but the 8th is slightly better than the 3rd, which is all that matters at this point. So if you are as new to painting as I am, I can definitely recommend starting with value painting. At first, it feels like you are slowing yourself down, and take out all the fun of it by stripping it to one boring color. But actually, it really can hurt you and will make everything way easier when you'll move forward. At least for me personally, it made the beginning dread of starting something new a bit lighter, as seeing values is logically quite the same as in pencil drawings. So the most difficulty I felt was in a new medium, trying to control the paint and hold it from blending into one incomprehensible mess, which is not something I always succeeded in, but bear with me, at least I've tried. And as this value painting experiment proved to be somewhat successful and helped me to get a little bit closer to my first 100 paintings goal, I think I even feel confident enough for my first painted portrait, which I'm so excited to share with you next. As always, share your thoughts in the comments, and you can't imagine how happy it makes me when you hit that subscribe button below. See you in the next video!